How's it going, everyone? I'm Chase Lee, reporting for DallasMovieScreens.com, and welcome back to my continuing coverage of the 2016 Dallas International Film Festival. I got another one to review for you guys, and that would be White Girl. Now, if you guys don't know what this is about, don't worry, I got my phone here. Alright, so here's what the synopsis reads. White Girl opens up on a blindingly bright summer day. Two women in their early 20s move into a gentrified New York City neighborhood. Excessive drug use, sex, and partying are the core of White Girl. The white girl in question is Leah, an audacious college student who is both years beyond her age and helplessly naive. That is definitely true, and I'll get to that in just a second. She commutes to an internship during the day, but her primary concern is finding her next high. Leah's recklessness is only emboldened after falling for the guy next door, her drug dealer. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I want you guys to go in this blind, but I'll give you a little taste. Okay. There were aspects I like about this movie, and there were aspects I don't like about this movie. And ultimately, I'm gonna run down the middle of the road for this movie, as far as my grade goes. So let's get real and break this down. So let's start with the writing and directing. Now, as far as the story is concerned, I thought the hook of the story was very, very interesting. Once again, don't want to really spoil anything. I want you guys to go in this blind because it is picked up by Netflix and will be released in the fall sometime. So I want you guys to go in this blind and not have it spoiled for you. There's a hook in this movie that was very interesting. I found it really compelling, and I was like, oh wow, I'm actually really invested in this movie now. But the problem is it took a very long time to get to that hook. Up until then, it was just a girl partying, having sex, doing drugs. Good for you. I mean, there was really nothing compelling about it. It was just a girl in her 20s having fun. Okay. But once the hook happened, that's when I was invested. And even when the hook happened, all of it happens. The rest of the movie happens. And at the end of the movie, it was all for nothing. So that's one of my biggest issues with this movie is the way the story is, because like I said, there's interesting elements about it, and the movie does touch on very important themes in this movie, such as prejudice and judgment, because they do mention in the movie, hey, listen, a white person could kill and get away with it, but a black guy could go to jail for 20 years for having like a little bit of marijuana. That's true, and that is really scary in our society. I really wish this movie would have honed in on those themes a little bit more, because if they did, I would have appreciated this movie a lot more. But they only touch upon it, and I think that was a mistake. I really wish they went full throttle with that. Because at the core of this movie, it's just a love story between a girl and her drug dealer. But those themes are sprinkled throughout, and I just wish there was more of it. With that being said, most of the characters are unlikable. They just are. They're either D-bags or they're just terrible people, and it's like, how many more terrible people are you going to run into? Now, to the main character's credit, there's only one person that she got royally screwed over by, in my opinion. I'm not going to say who or what, but she didn't honestly know. So I'll give her that. But going to this point, the main character is incredibly naive, just like the synopsis reads. With that being said, that makes us as a viewer really frustrated with her actions, because she does get a taste of this like drug-fueled world, selling drugs and being with a drug dealer, and even when stuff goes down and it's in her face and it's like, yo, warning, 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 don't do this again, she does it again. Now, I totally get where the director was coming from, don't get me wrong. It's all about the lustful love. It's, love in your 20s. You are blinded by love and you will do anything for that person. But even in that circumstance, when you look at what is happening around you and you still go along with it, that's kind of a problem. So even the main character, I did not feel sympathetic for. I didn't feel anything for her because she kept doing dumb things. And the movie's called White Girl. It is supposed to focus on her. I felt like the drug dealer was more interesting than she was, because he had kind of like a a cool vibe about him. It felt like he was a good guy. This was a drug dealer that was like, oh no, I'm not going to sell those drugs, but I will sell only certain drugs because they don't want to dabble in the hard stuff. That is more interesting to me than the white girl. I felt like this was just a main character that was partying, having fun. That's not a problem, so I'll give her that. But then, when she gets deeper and deeper into this drug world, she's making stupid decisions. And at the end of the movie, everything that she did prior to this was all for nothing. It just was. And it kind of shook her out of it and was like, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this anymore. It took you an hour and a half to figure that out. And people will probably argue like, well, it's the love thing, man. Like, they're lost in love. I get that. I'm 26. I've been hopelessly, in love with people that I shouldn't have been, all based on lust. I totally get that. But the time frame of this movie made it seem like they were dating for a week. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there wasn't really emotional investing moments in this movie. I felt like the relationship was forced, and no one was really interesting, or they're all terrible people. The main character was stupid and naive, and everything was all for nothing. And I found the drug dealer to be the best part about the movie and more interesting than anything else. And I thought the themes were there. I just wish there was more. So that's my main issue with this entire freaking movie. I said it right here in the writing portion. So let's go on with the rest of the review. As far as the directing goes, technically and directing wise, I think it's fine. The acting was serviceable. It was fine. I didn't think anything was like super grounding or like really heavy with that emotion until maybe like the very end with the drug dealer. That's what I'm saying. Like, the drug dealer was the most interesting part, and I thought he gave a better performance than anyone else. But actually, I take that back. One of the final shots at the very end was a pretty powerful kind of image, if you will, and I saw the acting in there. I was like, ooh, that was some good acting there. But as far as everything else goes, some of the characters are unlikable, so it's hard to get behind them and stuff. But as far as the performances go, they're good. They're fine. They're serviceable. It's whatever. The drug dealer is the best one. In my opinion, he's not even a true actor. The director said this was his first acting role. So, good job. Cinematography-wise, I like the cinematography in this. It's very gritty. It's real. I feel like I'm following these characters in this part of New York City and stuff. I feel like I was there, and I felt like I was a part of the neighborhood, and I knew the neighbors because we went around every nook and cranny, alleyways, different spots in the neighborhood. I felt like I lived there, and like this drug dealer and everyone was like taking me along this journey, kind of showing the hotspots, like, yo, man, this is my boy, type of deal. Just showing us around the town and whatnot. So I thought the cinematography was really well handled. Technically, this is not a bad movie at all. Technically speaking, it is not, but it's just all story stuff for me. But cinematography, it's gritty, it's urban, it's got that like urban feel to it. I like the way it was shot. As far as editing goes, now I will say this: despite my frustration with the main character and some of the story elements, I was never bored. I think the hour and 28 minutes, they do fly by, because I was genuinely interested in what was going to happen. That was the cool thing about this movie. I was very hooked on the story once the hook came, and I was really curious to see how it was going to end, and there were interesting elements in it, but ultimately the parts that were supposed to have emotional weight didn't feel it, so those parts might have dragged for me. But for the most part, I think it was paced out very well as a story. I just think it will vary from viewer to viewer in terms of what will hook you the most in the movie. With that being said, technically, I think this is a really well-made movie. The acting is fine, it's serviceable, the cinematography is good, and there's elements in the story that I like. But for the most part, the stupidity of the main character and my general lack of interest in the main character and more focused on the surrounding cast, I can't... I don't know, I'd probably recommend this to you, but for me personally, I honestly don't want to watch it again. I'm split on this one, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's why I'm going to give White Girl a C. I'm just going to go right down the middle. There's a lot of parts I like, a lot of parts I dislike. So, White Girl gets a C from me. So, have you seen White Girl, or have you even heard of it? Do you want to check it out on Netflix when it comes out? I'm probably lying. I'll probably check it out when it comes on Netflix again. But as far as this viewing goes, C for me. So comment, place, rub my face, and let me know all that stuff. So I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMoviescreens.com, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. See you guys later.